Well, hi everyone, this is CJ with Cycletron. It may seem for a minute that I'm off topic in terms of motorcycle content, but I promise you, this story about Bud Light has direct application to Harley Davidson and how they need to market and how they need to not market in trying to reach a broader audience for their motorcycle and related products. So bear with me, I will go through it. So probably a lot of you are aware of the controversy that Bud Light's VP of Marketing stirred up by reaching out to an activist to promote Bud Light, and there's been a huge backlash as a result of that. So there are some definite lessons for Harley Davidson here. So let's start out. This VP of Marketing for Bud Light, a woman named Alyssa Heinerscheid, previously I guess she's with Cheerios and other brands in a marketing and communications role. She's been with Bud Light for a while. Her previous role was in communications till she was promoted to be VP of Marketing. And it appears that she tried to do a kind of an under-the-radar social media marketing campaign. And you can sort of make sense. Apparently Bud Light has a lot of information that shows that people on, say, Instagram or other social media platforms tend to be younger. Bud Light's been a brand for 40 years for Anheuser-Busch. Anheuser-Busch in turn is owned by InBev, which is a huge brewing conglomerate representing over 600 individual beer brands. It's a consortium between a Belgium and Brazilian company. Bud Light, like I said, has been around for 40 years. Its percentage of its share of the U.S. market in beer is around 11%. And apparently that market share has been declining year after year, not unlike the situation you have with Harley Davidson. Harley Davidson's peak production was in 2006 with 304,000 motorcycles. So there was two things about this Bud Light marketing campaign that really hurt them. One, they tried to fly under the radar, I believe. To paraphrase Ronnie James Dio, it's like a rainbow in the dark. They tried to do a good thing in their minds, trying to be more inclusive, reach out to a broader demographic than perhaps their core customer would represent, and followed up with an interview or a podcast on a really small YouTube channel. I mean, it just seems like they were trying to get the word out, but into a very limited market. So it's the classic segmentation marketing, which brands like Bud Light and Harley Davidson are in essence lifestyle brands. They try to make it about identity, and it's not like they change the formulation of the beer, or it's not like Harley Davidson's motorcycles change that much year to year. But how they present their idea of what they represent does change over time. So before I touch on some of the specific aspects of how this marketing approach kind of blew up in Bud Light's face, let's compare the two companies in general. Like I said, Bud Light's been around for 40 years, Harley Davidson's been around for 120 years. Their core customer is aging and the group is becoming smaller and smaller each year. There's other brands that are becoming more popular, such as Corona. People are really aware of Corona now, and it's not part of InBev group. So Bud Light, and some of their comments on this podcast is what further inflamed the traditional buyer of a Bud Light, from what I understand, by this marketing manager, this marketing VP for Bud Light, was saying that she needed to change the frat boy image and update the image for Bud Light. So they weren't content to just try and reach out to a different demographic. Again, they were trying to, not that the particular demographic represented a lot of beer drinkers, they were in essence trying to virtue signal to a broader group that, hey, they're being more inclusive, they're open-minded, look how a wonderful brand we are. So let's check out a clip from this Make Yourself at Home podcast interview with Bud Light's VP of Marketing.
I had a really clear job to do when I took over Bud Light, and it was, this brand is in decline. It's been in decline for a really long time. And if we do not attract young drinkers to come and drink this brand, there will be no future for Bud Light.
And we can see from this next clip, she couldn't just leave it alone by saying, hey, we need to be reaching out to a different group, she had to go on to basically insult her current customer base.
Bud Light had been kind of a brand of fratty, kind of out of touch humor, and it was really important that we had another approach.
Harley Davidson has similar issues. A lot of people say they haven't changed fast enough, that they need to transition from internal combustion engines, they need to get away from big touring motorcycles, they need to make smaller, lighter bikes that appeal to the young urban rider. So Harley's trying to do a little of everything in more or less an incremental fashion, and by and large they haven't had anything close to this type of blunder that Bud Light has had. So that's good, but Harley is kind of prone to that. I did a video previously about the makeup of their board of directors, and they are very much part of a social agenda. If you just look at, some of their board members are from the Bill Gates Foundation. So very much agents of social change, fitting various agendas, if you will. So again, not going to get into all that, but you look at this marketing person from Bud Light, it's not like they're a dummy. They went to Wharton Business School, they went to Harvard. They've got a Ivy League pedigree. So this isn't somebody who just made a huge mistake. This is somebody who deliberately wanted to present a certain viewpoint relative to Bud Light. So again, lessons for Harley Davidson. Things that they would like to do but probably wouldn't dare do. I think at some point they're wanting to offshore most of their parts and assembly outside the United States. And you see it with the manufacture of the small 350 and 500cc parallel twin motorcycles. They just announced a partnership with Hero to make a 400cc bike. So right now there's no indication that these bikes will be offered for sale in the US, but eventually they probably will be, along with a broader range of motorcycles. So Harley's smart enough to not just come out and thumb their nose at their traditional customer, although many traditional Harley customers aren't happy that they've introduced liquid cool models, aren't happy that they've got overseas production. You just go down the list. So for Harley, how do they solve the problem that Bud Light tried to solve? In that, how do they reach out to a broader target demographic when they're in essence a lifestyle brand? Again, they're not really drastically changing the motorcycles. They're not offering really low cost models. They could have continued with production of the Bronx motorcycle. Many people don't understand why they haven't done that. But what happens if Harley Davidson overnight made the Bronx, made an inline four or a triple motorcycle, and just said, thanks customers of big heavy touring motorcycle V-twins. It's been a great run, but we're not doing that anymore. The telling thing with the Bud Light story is that so far there hasn't been really any announcements from Anheuser-Busch or InBev about this, except to say that this marketing team will not be fired or has not been fired. And I don't expect they will be. I think they're just going to hunker down and let this thing try and blow over. There's a huge boycott movement. I'm not a fan of boycotts. I think each individual should make their own choice about what they buy and how they spend their money. Boycotts are a pretty broad approach and hurt a lot of people that had nothing to do with the original marketing campaign. You have Ball Container that makes a lot of aluminum cans for Bud Light beer. They're going to get hurt. Distributors are going to get hurt. Maybe certain retailers if they're not able to get additional substitute products like from Coors. So it's a broadly damaging situation. But again, I'm not really interested in getting into the details of that. I'm interested in just the broader marketing of how a company with a historic brand image on a historic product with declining market share and declining sales goes about reaching out to a different target audience to try and grow their customer base over time, while realizing that their traditional customer base is essentially dying out and thinning out over the years. So again, I see a lot of parallels between Bud Light and Harley Davidson. And again, Harley Davidson, I've been critical about a lot of their business moves. but they haven't had any major blunders like this. I mean, they did alienate a lot of their customers when they eliminated the Dyna in 2017. And it wasn't just how they eliminated it. It was a sudden announcement, and then they gave 10 Softails, as I think it was, to various celebrities. One of them was Jason Momoa, who promptly spray painted it black. I think it was a joke. I think the whole thing was kind of a put on, but it didn't come across very well at all. In fact, it infuriated a lot of people. They thought it looked disrespectful, to people who would like a bike like that and couldn't afford it. And here's a guy being given one, and he essentially trashes it. So, they're not without their own missteps, but nothing to this scale so far. But again, I think Harley could be prone to this sort of thing. They're big on work from home. They've closed their worldwide office complex in Milwaukee. They're offshoring more and more production, offshoring more and more component sourcing. If you go to a Harley dealership, you can't find any apparel that's made in the United States anymore. So it's just a matter of time, I think, that Harley tries to embrace a broader agenda that is contrary to their core audience. I mean, if you just look at and I've commented about before, and other people have, is their lineup, their band lineup for their 120th anniversary party in Milwaukee this summer. Not exactly your all-American or pro-American type artists. So Harley doesn't seem to have a problem running the risk of alienating some customers in terms of trying to reach out to a new audience. I think companies do need to reach out to new people and develop new markets, but they shouldn't disrespect their existing customer base. So Harley, more than other companies, is bound by their history. Indian Motorcycle, I think they should quit marketing the fact that they've been around 2 years longer than Harley Davidson. It's to 1901. That's not true. I mean, essentially, Indian Motorcycle is a 10-year-old company with the current configuration through Polaris. And I think that's a big strength for them. They're not quite as bound by the past. They can pull on the past for certain imagery, but in terms of technology, in terms of products, they've got way more flexibility. So by virtue of having a successful product, really iconic product, I mean, many could argue that a Bud Light is an iconic product. People can remember marketing campaigns from years ago with the Spud McKenzie dog, and people certainly consider, rightly so, Harley Davidson to be an iconic brand. So I'd be interested in what you think. Can Harley avoid alienating a big part of their customer base while still importantly reaching out to new customers? I think they need to organically and authentically reach out to more people and not pander and not try to segment their marketing and hope other people don't notice what they're doing. Again, with this Bud Light situation, it's obvious they tried to segment their marketing. The campaign went viral for all the wrong reasons. So they started out with a pretty economical or low budget social media campaign. And normally people like it when things go viral and into the mass media market from social media. But in this case, the reaction was all negative for the most part. So again, parallels with Harley Davidson in many areas. I'd be interested in your thoughts on this. Can Harley thread the needle and maximize cash from their existing core customer base and still attract new blood to the brand? Again, interested in your thoughts, please let me know in the comments section. Thanks very much.